Hi, this is Kevin Trainer, and I'm here with Jenna Kim, and we're going to be doing the lecture that's an introduction to the course that we're teaching together in the spring of 2024. It's IS597-MLC. So we have an agenda that we're going to go through, but before we do that, I just want to turn it over to Jenna so she can say hi for a second.
Hello, everyone. This is Jenna. I'm your co-instructor for this course, and I'm very excited to have you all in our class. I'm really looking forward to working with you.
Okay, thank you, Jenna. I need to share my screen here. Sometimes this kind of recording we only do about once a semester, so it's hard to remember all the controls. I think that's going to do it. So we have an agenda for today, and that includes the following. We're both Jenna and I are going to introduce ourselves a little more in a little more detail. Um, we're going to expect you to have introduced yourselves online using the online form for that. So this is sort of our equivalent, right? Jenna's going to go through a few important facts about this course. I'm going to review our Canvas site. Um, Jenna and I are going to share the responsibility for going through a document that we call the course roadmap. Um, I'm going to go through the weekly schedule, uh, some of it. It has a lot of overlap with the roadmap. And then I'm going to give you the highlights from the syllabus, and then Jenna's going to wrap up with a short section that we call Get Started. So, Jenna, let's turn it over to you for your introduction.
Sure. Hi again, everyone. My name is Jenna, and I'm a PhD candidate here at the iSchool. I'm currently working on my dissertation that explores large language modeling approaches for name entity disambiguation. For my research, I'm using various machine learning and deep learning techniques to analyze bibliographic data. I run all of my codes using cloud computing, mainly on AWS, Amazon Web Services platform, because I need to handle big size of data to train and test my models. I'm very excited to have you all in this course where I can share my knowledge and experience. Welcome aboard and hope to see you all in class. Back to you, Kevin.
Thank you, Jenna. So I'm Kevin Trainer. I've been teaching here at the iSchool since 2008. Um, I teach a bunch of courses, including um, IS430, which is the Python programming course, IS455, which is database design and prototyping, IS439, which is web development using application frameworks, IS446, which is systems analysis, and IS 594, I think PL, we're calling it project management. So this is a new course, both for Jenna and for me. Um, this is the kind of course I love because it's very practical and hands-on. Okay, so we're going to be going through uh, machine learning applications. We're going to be doing it using cloud tools, and we're going to be doing it in a really kind of a practical, hands-on way. And this is the kind of way I like to teach. It's the kind of way that I like to learn. So I'm sure as the course goes on, we'll share more things about ourselves. But for right now, why don't we move on to a few important facts about this course, and I'll turn it over to Jenna.
Sure. Before we get into the detailed syllabus, there are some few things you should pay attention to while you're joining our course. So first of all, this is a course that we apply machine learning approaches using cloud computing to address real world problems. So you're going to learn all the applications and how to handle different types of data using cloud computing techniques. And some of our lectures will take place during class sessions. So we'll provide live presentation in class, and other lectures are pre-recorded videos, and you are required to watch those videos before you come to class. And some introductory work need to be done on your computer using Anaconda and PyCharm. So be sure to install those packages on the first week. And you can find all these detailed instructions, how to install all of them on Canvas site, which Kevin will explain in a moment. Most work will be done using AWS Academy Learner Lab, and we're gonna guide you how to log in this Academy Learner Lab with your own account, and then what you are required to do before you actually work on your assignments and project throughout the class. And this is a hands-on coding course, and we hope you learn by doing. So you have to do a lot of work by doing the assignments and final projects. So there are 10 weekly hand-in assignments and final project, and all these grading rubrics will be accompanied on the Canvas platform. So you will find the detailed information what you should be careful when you work on your assignments and final project. And you will need to prepare to spend time and do work independently, which means that you need to create your own code without copying or joint authorship or getting help from ChatGPT. You can discuss or chat with your classmates, or you can kind of refer to the online resources, and you can ask ChatGPT, but you must do your own work, write your own code independently, and then submit the assignments and final project to the Canvas site. And that's all. Back to you, Kevin.
Thank you, Jenna. So that brings us to our Canvas site, which I hope that many of you have already visited, but let's take a look at that. So I probably should look at the student view so it looks like when you're looking at it. So this is our Canvas site. Recent announcements are up in the top. Um, then the way that uh, the way I've organized the site, this is the way I typically organize the sites for my classes. The typical iSchool way of organizing the top page of the site is a little too busy for me to find my way around. And so these blocks in a Canvas application sense are called modules. And so we're using this thing called the modules view. And we've got four of them. So the first one has kind of important information about the course. And then the second one is contact us, how to contact the instructors and the TA. Um, Jenna and I are optimistic that we're going to get a TA. We're not guaranteed to get one, but we're prepared to take care of you in any case. Okay. The third one is these are going to be all of the Canvas activities where you submit assignments. And even if the work that you're going to do is going to be in the Academy Learner Lab, we're going to have something for you to do in Canvas to say, I've done that. Go look at it, right? So there'll be a whole bunch of them, one for each of the weekly assignments. A little bit less in weekly assignments. I think we've got 10 of them. Um, and the weekly meetings that we have, we probably have 14 of them. So a couple don't have hand-in assignments. But there'll be a whole list of these here. And assignment solutions, we generally share a copy of the solution, um, and we'll discuss it in class, and you have the opportunity to ask questions. So this is a really good way to get kind of feedback on how you're doing. You just went and you did the assignment, and perhaps you've got some questions, or you don't know about the right way to do it, and that kind of stuff. Well, we publish our solutions, and we discuss how they might be different from yours. Okay, so that's how this page is organized. One really important thing is, because the first week of the course, ordinarily we would have met on January 15th, which is the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. So we don't have a class meeting. So we're going to do all these course startup activities online, just not in person. So the introductions are going to be done by forum. And so one of your assignments for the week is to log into the forum here and to post your introduction. And we've got some prompts here to help you do that well. Okay. There's a link here to the syllabus. So you click on that, and you click on that, and you go to the syllabus. This is a link to a URL. So this will always link to the current copy of the syllabus. And if we update the syllabus, well, we'll make an announcement in Canvas, and then this link will point to the new one. Okay. Let's go back here. We have this thing called the weekly schedule, which we'll go over, but essentially the weekly schedule is a web application that has all the detailed information for what's going to go on week by week in the course. A lot of instructors try to jam that into the syllabus, and the problem is that it's too much information for the format. And so the pages here are pretty extensive, and we'll be going through that in a couple of minutes. Okay, so that's the weekly schedule, and that's how to get to it. And again, if we make a change to the weekly schedule, we'll announce it here on Canvas. And of course, when you link to it, then you'll just see the new version. Okay. We have a section here about choosing your preferred first name that you'd like to use in the course. We're going to print name badges so we can all remember each other. And we're going to print the name from Canvas, and the one that's used in Zoom, the one that's used on Canvas, comes from this university application. Okay. And so if the name that's in the university, if the first name that's in the records of the university is not what you go by, well, then please follow the links here and change that so that we have the opportunity to address you by what you wish to be called. Okay? So that's that. And please do that sooner rather than later. There's a bunch of quick links here from the iSchool. This is a page that I got from the iSchool. I've kind of updated it because the version I had a link to the iSchool wiki, which is, I think, the entire university wiki system has now been turned off, to my knowledge, and we have this thing called iSchool Connect. So we've got a bunch of resources here. Um, we have an open discussion forum that you guys should feel free to use, and we'll try to monitor, but it's not the way to contact us. Okay. Um, we have another way to do it using the help desk that we're going to use for the course. Okay. But it's a great way for you folks to share information with each other. Okay. Or to offer each other, some assistance on things. Uh, then there's a link here for the Zoom meetings. Okay. So this is an in-person course. So there are no class sessions here, but once a week on Friday afternoon at 2 p.m. from 2 to 3, we'll be holding an optional lab session for you to come for help and ask questions or brainstorm or just talk about things. And so those are going to be online, and here's how you get to them. Instructor and TA details. We've already introduced ourselves. Okay. Um, we don't hold open office hours. We have the labs instead. Okay. But if you need to meet with us individually, which typically that's for something of a more of a personal nature where you don't want to be in a public forum, then contact us using the help desk and we'll set up a time to meet and talk, probably over Zoom. Okay. And we're hoping to get a teaching assistant. You can't fault us for trying. Um, this help desk thing is just the way that we would like you to communicate with us about everything. Okay, and it's a if you click through on the link to this thing, trainer help desk, you'll go to the about page for it and explains that it's an issue tracking system. And it's pretty straightforward stuff. It's not one of the issue tracking systems that's used by the iSchool or the university. It's just the thing that I use for my courses. Um, what I like about it the most is your requests and your questions don't get lost. Okay. And then the people who are working on the course, which of course will be Jenna and I, and hopefully the TA, uh, we can assign them back and forth to each other so that we've got the right person working on the right thing. Okay. And there's a link for start here. So if you don't know where to start, you start here. And then if you go back to the page that we were on, we've got a link down at the bottom for our, oh, interestingly, it's got the wrong name for the course, but you can see that the link says the right thing. I'm going to have to fix that. But if you go to the link, you see that all of the communication you do with the help desk is just emails. Okay. And here's a job aid to help you just compose an email to get a ticket up and started. And if you continue along and you click through the steps, it'll tell you the whole life cycle of the ticket. Okay. I think this, we were using this particular help desk in the fall and it went pretty well for students. And I would expect the same thing in the spring. So that is our Canvas site. Okay. So let's go back to our let's go back to our slides. And somewhere I've got my slides and I've lost them. So there's going to be a pause while I find my slides.
Kevin, I can see the slides now. It's a PDF
Ah,
file.
there they are. So there'll be no no pause. The pausing button is underneath something else, but the slides have reemerged.
Mhm.
Very good. Um, so we reviewed the Canvas site. Review the roadmap. Let's talk about the roadmap, okay? So the roadmap is one of these traditional tables where we kind of talk about what we're doing week by week. Um, it doesn't have all the detail that we have in the weekly schedule, and quite frankly, this is what the two of us use as we plan the course and before I turn it into the weekly schedule. But it's a real nice way to give you sort of an overview. So the course startup is in week 1, okay? Uh, the readings are the syllabus and the roadmap, okay? There's no in-person class, although there are a lot of activities for you to do, including the readings and according and the assignments, which include the forum that we talked about, introducing yourself. And there's a whole bunch of computing setup to be done for this course. And when we look at the weekly schedule, I'll tell you the details of what we would like you to do. But um, even though we're going to be doing a lot of things on Amazon Web Services, and when we're doing that, we're going to be doing a lot of that just in the browser, right? A couple of the units that we're going to do, weeks 4 and 5, this Python for machine learning crash course, are basically Python things. And to do those, we're going to use more traditional tools on our own computers like Anaconda and PyCharm. So uh, those things are among the list of things that we're going to want you to install and set up. And I'll give you the details when we get to the weekly schedule. Um, Jenna, could you talk about weeks 2 and 3 for us?
Sure, Kevin. So for week 2, the topic is about what is machine learning. And we're gonna meet in person at the Gislis building 131. I think it's the correct room number.
Yep.
And you are expect to read the textbook, the chapter 1, the Jerome chapter 1 before you come to class. You can find the detailed information on how to access this textbook in the syllabus. And in class activities, we're gonna get some questions and answers about the syllabus and course you might have. So feel free to ask any questions regarding the syllabus and course, and Kevin and I will do our best to answer them. And for the lecture, we'll have live lecture about the machine learning concepts and then history of machine learning and then machine learning types and application, etc. And we're going to have a group discussion session. So you will be expect to talk about your potential final project ideas, like what kind of data you would like to get and what topic or what theme do you want to explore throughout your final project, etc. And assignment is for this week, you will be expecting to log in to AWS Academy Learner Lab, which will be our platform for computing, cloud computing processing. And you're gonna get invitation email from Kevin and and then you're gonna need to create your own account by setting up your password, and then you will get onto this platform with those account and password, and then you can just make sure that you do some survey, which will be presented inside Academic Learner Lab, and then make sure that everything is all set. And then you will actually learn how to use these services uh, at the week 3. And week 3, we're going to actually walk through about the cloud computing services. And we have two text readings get ready for you. So you can see the links to the text in weekly schedule site. And you also expect to read those readings before you come to class for week 3. And also, we're going to have live lecture in class for this week. And I'm gonna do some demonstration about how to get access services inside the AWS Academy Learner Lab. So I will expect all of you to make sure that you are able to log in this service before the week 3. And we can walk through all these steps together inside the class. So you should bring your own laptop to class to explore these services with me. And the first assignment will be released for this week. So you're gonna need to provide evidence that you actually access all these services, and then read guide, user guide, and create a Jupyter notebook. We will ask, and then show us you actually complete all these tasks by submitting the screenshots and then some brief explanation in the document. So it's going to be very simple assignment, but we want to ensure that everyone can access this Academic Learner Lab without failing. Okay, this is all I have for week 2 and 3. So back to you, Kevin.
Yeah, one other thing we talked about for week 3 that we don't have in here that is sort of an important aspect of the way we're going to organize the course is we think it's going to be really helpful for the to have sort of permanent groups for when we meet in class and we break out into groups. Uh, we find that students kind of like to hang around with the same group anyway. And so in week 3 is going to be the week in which we kind of choose up groups. So um, I know that people always want to sit with their friends, and I encourage them to have uh, wider aspirations than that. I'm sure that Jenna does too. But week 3 is going to be the week that we formalize who's going to be in which of the groups, and before that, in week 2, it's just going to be ad hoc. Okay. That brings us to 4 and 5. So weeks 4 and 5 are um, the Python related tools that kind of underpin the work that we're going to be doing with the more specific machine learning tools. And these are tools that are used in a broad range of data science and AI related work, and they include Jupyter notebooks, NumPy. So we're going to cover those two in week 4, and then in week 5 we're going to cover pandas and plotting and visualization. And the plotting and visualization, we're going to do a lot of that with a package called matplotlib, but we're also going to do some plotting with pandas. Um, because that's kind of fun, even more fun than matplotlib in a lot of ways, because it has a more appealing user interface. Um, API, whatever you want to call it. So um, those 2 weeks, you're probably going to be working on your own machines. We might find something for you to do in the learner lab, so I don't rule that out. But for the most part, we won't be working in the learner lab on that. And then we're going to be coming back to a whole bunch of weeks that begin with week 6. And I'm going to turn it over to Janet to maybe kind of talk about the topics. I don't think we really need to go through the readings and the activities and all that stuff. But could you walk us through like the rest of the topics?
Okay, Kevin. So from week 6, we're gonna dive in machine learning tasks. So for week 6, we're gonna work on data pre-processing, which basically data cleaning tasks, such as conversion all the strings into lower cases, and normalization, kind of like that. And actually, we're gonna start using Academy, AWS Academy Learner Lab for these tasks. So you will be asked to work on your assignments um, using this AWS Academy Learner Lab, and then you're going to have a lot of fun. And week 7, you're going to learn about how to build machine learning pipelines. So there's a chapter 2 from Zero Readings, and then you will get concepts about how to build pipelines, what components you will need to build a strong pipeline for machine learning. So in class activities, we're going to review the solutions from the previous assignment, and then I will ask you to group coding exercises to make sure that you understand what we learned throughout the instruction. And there is another assignment for building machine learning pipelines. And then you will also use AWS Academy Learner Lab for this assignment. And week 8, it's about model training using cloud computing. So chapter 3 and 4 from Jeron's reading is also required. And another review solution for the week 7 assignment and group coding exercise in class will be helpful for you to understand how to train the models. And since model training assignment takes a while and it might be a little bit overwhelming, especially if you're not familiar or with these machine learning concepts or have no experience of machine learning before. So we want to give you plenty of time to complete this assignment. So you can spend a spring break, which is week 9, for this assignment, as well as your final proposal, which is due week 10. So you can kind of work on these 2 tasks together, and then you're going to have 3 weeks to prepare and complete. And so you can submit this model training assignment by week 10. And you can also submit the proposal, final project proposal to Canvas side at the same time. And after spring break, we're gonna learn about how to reduce dimensionality to get a better performance and efficiency while training the model. And there are 2 different textbooks required for reading. So one is Jeron, another is from Raska and Mizraeli. And so please note that we prepare 3 different textbooks for your reading. So you can find those links for access to textbooks in the syllabus. And then Kevin will explain the detailed information about those textbooks in a moment. And please read those chapters before you come to class because it's a little bit complicated to understand if you don't read the books before you actually work on the dimensionality reduction task. And there's no assignment for this week because we want to give you plenty of time for model training and proposal as I already explained. And for model fine tuning is another advanced level of task. So week 11, we're gonna spend the entire session for how to fine-tune your models. So after reviewing the solution of the prior assignment, we're gonna have a chance to work on these coding exercises in groups. And there is assignment for this week about dimensionality reduction and model fine-tuning together. So it's a little bit about dimensionality reduction. I didn't want to give you a lot of pressure on the how to handle dimensionality and model fine-tuning. So that's why I combined these 2 weeks into one assignment. So we're gonna have a simple approach for doing this work. So no worries, and you're gonna be fine with this assignment. And for week 12, it's gonna be how to test and evaluate your trend models using cloud computing. So this is where we use Academy Learner Lab again, because it's gonna be a platform for testing and evaluation of the models you trained earlier. And there's a chapter 10 reading from Raska and Ms. Lily reading. So you are required to read that chapter to make sure that you understand how to test and evaluate the models before come to class. And then final assignment is about testing and evaluation of your trained models. And week 13, it's about unsupervised learning. So it's a little bit different from what we have learned throughout the previous weeks, because what we focus on during the previous weeks is a supervised learning. So I'm going to explain what's the difference between supervised and unsupervised learning in the week 1 when we explain about introduction to machine learning. So you're going to have understanding of what's difference. But unsupervised learning is just for 1 week, and we're going to focus on more on supervised learning throughout our course. And there's no assignment for this week, but you are expect to submit the final project progress report, which is going to describe the procedures you implemented while you're working on your final project. And week 14, we're going to briefly take an overview of deep learning. So you are expect to read chapter 10 from Zero textbook. And then you're going to have a taste of what deep learning is about. So this course is mainly about machine learning. And then Kevin and I thought it would be great if you can have a kind of a brief overview of what machine learning and deep learning is about. I'm sorry, what deep learning is about. So that's why I prepare for this week 14. And week 15 and 16, and you can spend these 2 weeks entirely focusing on your final project. And then we expect to get your submission of final project by week 17.
Well, the end
Kevin,
of
is
week
that right?
16.
Oh, okay.
I think
Thanks.
it'll probably be Friday evening in week 16.
I think it is May 3rd,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And week
Okay.
17 is like graduation, but it's a proper week in the university calendar. It's just we never do anything that week.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, great. One thing we'll talk some more about the final project. The final project is an individual, not a team project, and it's a machine learning project. Maybe you could say a few words about how you see it. The right column here, we have like a bunch of activities that
Mhm.
people will be doing throughout the course related to it. But if maybe you could give them a little more concrete sense of what we're talking about when we say final project.
Sure. Kevin and I expect to see um, kind of research style of document. So where you can, well, if you see the published research paper from any databases or libraries, you might find the certain structure of this research paper, right? So for example, like a summary of your research as an abstract, and then introduction, like a background of what topic you are interested in, talk about, and then why is this important, what kind of problems you can find about this topic, and how you might want to handle it throughout your research. And then second, data. You should provide detailed information about your data, like how you collect and then how you pre-process or clean your data, um, and what sources data, what sources your data comes from kind of information. And then the next, you should provide like a methodology you use for handling or analyzing your data. Like, since we are learning about machine learning, like what kind of machine learning algorithms you used and how many times you train your models. So we call it cross validation. So normally we do the 10 times to make sure that there is not bias inside of trained models. We're going to learn about that later. And how you evaluate kind of thing, what kind of evaluation metrics do you use to test your models to see the performances kind of thing. And then there's like a results section as well. So what kind of results you see after training your model and testing your model? What kind of scores of evaluation you can get, or your results is satisfying or not satisfying? And you can also discuss kind of like what kind of errors or problems or obstacles you might encounter while you're working on this model training and evaluation. And finally, conclusion. So what is your conclusion after working on your own research? So you can kind of provide a brief kind of one or two paragraphs of description about conclusion. And that's kind of like the structure we expect to see from your final report. So first of all, you might want to spend the first 8 or 9 weeks to figure out the topic and data sets. And of course, methodology, we're going to show options of methodology you can use. So you should think about like what you will include in your own final project. So preparation is very important. And then you can submit the proposal draft by week 10. So Kevin and I take a look at those proposals and it will give you feedbacks like what to add or what to adjust, kind of feedback. And then you can kind of make changes in your proposal and take that proposal as a foundation of your final report. Okay. And week 13, you are required to provide a report which shows the progress. So basically, you can add more contents on your proposal and then show us what kind of progress you make throughout this week throughout these weeks. And then week 14 and 15, you can work more on your own training models and testing models, and then discussing a conclusion. And then you can kind of wrap up everything into one document, and then you can submit your final report by week 16 as a PDF file to Canvas site.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's an individual project. You get to pick the project subject to our our feedback on your proposal, but we're hoping that you'll pick something that is practical in terms of data availability and those kinds of things, but that you're really interested in because I don't know about you, but that sounds like a lot of work to me. And it's a lot of work if you're getting answers to questions that you find interesting. We're going to be talking about these individual projects all the way through the course. One of the things that we'd like to do with these groups that we're forming is have part of the in-class time be times where you can share experiences and problems and stories about your projects and, kind of cheer each other on because
Mhm.
it's a lot of work, but it'll really tie the class together in a very practical way. So it won't be just a lot of book learning. You're going to have this project to show for it when you're done, which to me is a lot of fun. Okay, so let's go back to where we were. Okay, that's the roadmap. Now, so we put a lot of our time into the roadmap. We're going to put a little bit less time into the other things. So the weekly schedule, let me pull that over. Um, this is, let me find it. In fact, let me just generate it again. So the one that I'm going to be showing here is one that's not even up on the website yet. Okay, and if these little things didn't keep popping up, I'd be able to talk about it. Okay, so here's a weekly schedule. Okay, and it's a web app in which when you come into it, you're at the index of the weekly schedule pages, and the number of the week is the link that gets you to that page. So I just want to point out a couple of features. Okay, there are a bunch of boxes on the page, and most of them, we've got these schedule notes. They're a little different than what's usual, but most of the other things are kind of some event that's happening, right? So, like in week one, we don't have a class, so I've got a couple of schedule notes here. On Friday, there's a lab session, so there's a box for the lab session. Okay, on Sunday at the end of the day is our weekly assignment deadline. Okay, so there's a bunch of stuff here because we don't have an in person class. Uh, all the assignments for the class are on this Sunday thing. Well, don't wait till Sunday to do them, jump right in, right? So we've got the topics, the readings, the recordings. If we're going to record the lecture like the one that we're doing here, there'll be a link here for it. There's a video here on how to play my videos. My presentation style is necessarily slower than Jenna's. And so a lot of times when you're listening to my recordings, you're going to want to speed them up, and this kind of shows you how to do it. Jenna talks, I think, a more typical kind of rate. Um, as a uh, as a supplement to the syllabus, one of the things about the course is that there a substantial portion of your grade, 15% of the 100% total, comes from participation. Okay. And I want to make sure that people really understand that. So I put together a little video in which I explain that so that I don't have to go through it in such a detail when I go through the syllabus. So please um, play that. There are two resources here that I received from the campus safety people. One, they're called Run, Hide, Fight, and they're what to do when things go wrong on campus. And the video is short and effective, and there's a handout. So since this is an on-campus class, I put those here. Uh, Introducing yourself, well, here are the details about how to do that. I think this is the same text that are pretty close to the same text that's on the forum. Okay. And then we have a bunch of things that's computing setup, including, and again, most of the setup, at least the early stuff, is going to apply to the work that we're going to be doing in weeks 4 and 5, where we're doing the Python skills for data science and machine learning. Okay, so choose your computer as part of that, install Anaconda, update Anaconda, create an Anaconda virtual environment, install PyCharm Professional. These are all the tools that we're going to be using. Now we have a bunch of things related to the Git version control system. Okay, and we're going to be doing things in the class with Git, and if you're a person who's already worked with Git, this is not going to be real challenging stuff with respect to Git. But if you don't know Git yet, it's time to get started. So I have an activity for learning about Git, installing a Git graphical client in case you don't want to work at the command line when you're working on your own computer. Um, when you're working in uh, the Learner Lab, um, some things related to Git are just kind of fields to fill in, right? But eventually we'll probably get to the point where we'll get to the command line and do some things with Git, okay? Uh, we'll figure that out. And if you don't have a GitHub account, now's the time to get one. We're going to be working with GitHub. I've asked the iSchool to work with the university to get us access to kind of a space for repositories related to this course, and they put the request in today, and I'm hoping to have them in about a week. But um, those would be visible from your own GitHub account as soon as I uh, put your ID into whatever I use to administer this thing. So if you have a GitHub account, great. If you don't, get one. And we're talking about a GitHub account that's associated with your university email address. Okay. Okay, so that's more detail I'm going to go through on the other weeks. To get to week 2, you can just go to next. And this really just talks about the stuff that we learned about from Jenna. And then week 3, okay. We've really gone, so for instance, in week 3, we've got readings that we have links to. So you can just click through on here and get to the reading. Okay, so really, the weekly schedule is meant to be a website that you can go to that is a one-stop shopping for all the content that you need for the week. And if there are deadlines for something, well, then it'll be here. Okay, and if we change them, we'll change them here and we'll make an announcement on Canvas. Okay, so we've got the detail in for weeks 1 through 5. We'll have all the detail in soon, and when we've got more detail in, we'll make an announcement on Canvas. So that's the weekly schedule. Oh, I clicked on the wrong thing. If I click on the right thing, it'll do the right thing. I don't know what's going on there. Okay. I'm sorry, I clicked the wrong icon. Okay, review weekly schedule, that's done. Review syllabus. Okay, so we're going to walk through the syllabus. I'm going to point out some highlights, okay? You're responsible for reading the entire thing, okay? Sometimes, and this is especially true for people who maybe joined the class late, I don't see any evidence that they read the syllabus, or sometimes that they even played the lecture that we're listening to now. Okay, and for some of you, you'd say, oh, I always would play the lecture. I always would read the syllabus. Well, I see a lot of evidence that some people don't, okay? So please do. And then that lecture that I pointed to that described the participation grading, please play that too so that you know how that's going to be graded, okay? Now, in terms of the syllabus, let's just take a look, okay? Oh, it's right here. Um, let's see. You know what it's called and what the number it is. Jenna and I are the instructors. We're still hoping to get a teaching assistant, but that might be a distant hope. Uh, our classes are going to be in room 131 at the old iSchool building that we know and love from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Mondays. We're expecting people to come. We're expecting to make it an interesting experience. One of the things you're going to learn when you read about participation grading is there's a lot of points on the line. So come, engage. We're going to have some fun, and you'll be better for it. These optional lab sessions are essentially help sessions, okay? Or times to talk about whatever you want to talk about. We'll have one immediately after class, okay? And I can usually hang around forever, okay? And if we get kicked out of the room, then my office is upstairs. So I don't have a life, so it's fine. And then on Friday afternoon, we're going to meet online from 2 to 3. And, you know, some people come all the time to that. Some people come only when they have a problem. Some people come just to figure out what's going on. You'll find the pattern that works for you. Okay? Um, because we have those lab sessions, we don't have conventional open office hours. But if you do need to arrange an individual meeting, just open a ticket on the help desk and we'll set one up. To contact us, use the help desk. Don't be using email. Don't be sending messages on Canvas. I don't even know where they go. So, I mean, you can send them, but I know I'll never find them. Okay, so help desk. Uh, Here's the catalog description. We're going to leave you to read that. The prereqs, the two courses that we list here are the two kind of Python courses at the iSchool. Uh, if you don't have a strong Python background, you're going to have a hard time in this course. Okay, that's just the truth of it. And if you don't, and you're worried, well, come talk to us, and we'll talk you through it. Okay. It's a 4-credit course. I'm going to leave you to read the learning outcomes. I think you've got the gist of what we're talking about from what we've said already. There are 3 texts, the McKinney, the Giron, and Rashka and Morgilili. They're all available on the O'Reilly Media website for free. Okay, so if you really want to shell out the money and buy these books, well, go ahead. But if you're like me and you're cheap about these things, well, then the O'Reilly site. Now, how do you do that if you don't know how to do it? Well, there's a link here to a page at the library about how to get onto all these sites, and the O'Reilly one's down here at the bottom. Okay, so you should not have to buy these. Okay, and there's a lot of other books there. I mean, there are books on Git. There are books on all kinds of machine learning stuff. There are all kinds of Python books. This is just a great place. Technology wise, uh, we're expecting you to have a laptop computer, ideally one that runs a recent version of Windows or Mac OS. Um, and when we say recent version, could it be Windows 10? Yeah, it could be an up to date Windows 10. Uh, could you have a Mac like I do? My personal one's from 2015, and I can't load the new versions of Mac OS, but uh, I can at least update the version, the top level version that I can install on it. Yeah, those are going to work just great. If you're a person who wants to use a Linux laptop and you can support yourself, well, go ahead. But uh, come to me and I'll try to talk you out of it. You're going to know more about that than we do. Okay, so it's going to be hard for us to support you. Okay, uh, there's a link here to the weekly schedule. Okay, if there are changes made in the content of the course, including the weekly schedule, we'll make an announcement. And then, of course, when you go there, the new content will be there. There's a lot of detailed things about readings, lecture videos. Essentially, if the lecture is going to be recorded, for those first 5 weeks, it's clear which are going to be in class. The two that Jenna's doing are in class. The two that I'm doing are recorded. Okay. Um, After that, we're going to figure out which is going to be which. But if they're recorded, you should play them before you come to class. Tutorial videos, we have a lot of those on that computing setup. We may have others. We expect you to play those where they appear in the schedule. Um, Weekly assignments are going to appear in the weekly schedule. There's going to be instructions and grading rubrics and all those kinds of things. Uh, there's a little bit more here about the final project, but it's probably all consistent with what we talked about. And when we get to class, you'll have your questions and we'll work through the answers with you. Um, Attendance at the iSchool is required. Okay. Um, Participation is going to be graded. Okay. And whereas we don't grade attendance, all of the things that you get participation points for are, you can only get them if you're a class. So it doesn't really take a lot of thought to realize you have to come to class. Okay. And I'll leave the details of this for you to read and play the video. I think it goes through that pretty well. There's a whole section here. This is pretty standard for my courses, course grading policies. I really want you to read this in detail. It reads a little bit like a contract for a lease car. Okay, it's got, I don't know, 12, how many parts? It's got 13 parts. A contract for a lease car would probably have 26, but it has a lot. The fact is that people get things wrong about what the rules are all the time. And again, you would think that they would read these things, that they would get them right. But time and again, I find that some people miss this, probably because they didn't read the syllabus or they didn't play this lecture. Okay, so read the details here. And you'll get the gist of how we're going to be grading the course. Okay? I'm not going to go through each of the details here. I don't think we can afford the time. Okay? Um, One thing that I do want to point out is a deal that we're going to have for grading these weekly assignments, not the final project, but the weekly assignments. We want to make sure you hand things in on time and that we can discuss we can discuss the solutions to the assignments the next day. So um, we we have a deal here where if you hand your assignment in on time, you make a good faith effort on all parts, okay, and then you follow the directions about what things are to be named and where you're supposed to place them and all that kind of stuff. If you do that, you'll get at least an 85, okay? If you're late, okay, no matter how good your work is, you can't get higher than an 84. So we want everybody to be ready when we get to class to talk about the last assignment because we think that's where a lot of the learning goes on. All right. And we've given this deal so that you'll have the confidence to try, even if you would like to maybe wait 2 weeks and do it better. It'll be a lost opportunity to learn. Okay. So this is pretty interesting. Um, there's some detail here about how you earn points for um, the participation. We just take notes while we're in class. Who did what? Okay. There's one big thing I want to point out here. We're going to have a breakout session in nearly every class. Okay. And so for everybody who participates in that actively, there's going to be a big chunk of points. Okay. So this coming to class and engaging is going to pay off. All right. But you read the detail. Um, Again, I did a video on this whole thing, so I'm not going to do it here. Okay. Um, Academic integrity policies, again, I'll leave you to read the details. But the thing is, it's okay to talk to other people about work. It's okay to consult books. It's okay to consult Stack Overflow. It's okay to go to tutorial sites. It's even okay to ask Chat GPT what Chat GPT thinks. But when it's time to do your work, you have to put that aside and do your own work. Okay? So we don't want you to be handing in what ChatGPT said or what your classmate said. We want you to do it. And we also want you to type the code in yourself. It's really surprising and it seems kind of old school, but most computing teachers believe there's a lot of learning that goes on when you type the code. I know that seems old school, but we believe it. And not only old guys like me, computing teachers in their late 20s and early 30s, they believe it too. Okay. So uh, we're liberal about what you can consult. Okay. But you have to do the work yourself individually, not in collaboration. All right. The breakdown of the grade, the participation's 15%. That's a letter grade and a half. It's gigantic. And the grading scheme for participation is pretty generous. Again, play the video. So these are easy points to get. Maybe not all of them, but a whole lot of them. Okay. So do not fall down in front of the monster on participation. Okay. The weekly assignments are 40%. The final project proposal is 10%, and the final project delivery is 35%. And I realize that we don't have something there for that check-in in week 13, so we may reallocate a point or two here um, for that. But the final project in total, it's going to add up to 45%. The grade scale here is pretty standard at the iSchool. I got it from somebody when I got here in 2008, and I haven't changed it since. The only thing I would say is this. Please note that when converting overall course grades to letter grades, simple rounding of number grades will be used. Please see, and this is back in one of the sections I asked you to read, grade adjustments will be limited to automatic rounding under grading policies. So I get these sad stories. Well, if I got one more point, then I wouldn't get a B minus, I'd get a B, or wouldn't get an A minus, I'd get an A, or wouldn't get an A, I'd get an A plus. Well, we're just going to round, okay? Then we have a whole bunch of things here that I call boilerplate. Boilerplate is kind of a contract term that means standard provisions. Okay, so these are all standard provisions from the department and from the university. So you maybe have seen all these things, but they're really important things. Like what does it take to get an incomplete grade? Uh, where to find the rules about academic integrity? How serious are we about being inclusive? Okay. What to do about religious observances? How serious are we about accessibility? Uh, how serious are we about COVID and health things? Well, we're really serious about all these things. So if you haven't read these before, if these are new to you, that will read them, please. If you have questions or issues or problems, well, come to me, I'll help. Okay, they're not always things that I have the answers or the solution to, but I can point you to people. Okay, so we are serious. Please do give them a read, and if you have questions or help, we're here to help. Okay, so that is it for the syllabus. And now we're getting close to the end. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over to Jenna to do this getting started, which is kind of a pep talk. So, pep talk to you, Jenna.
Okay, Kevin. Well, it's time to wrap up. So, um, there's no class session in week one, so you're gonna spend most of time for week one to set up your computings in your local computer. And there's a plenty of work for you to do during week one, so don't take it a week off. We expect you to set up everything as we requested and then take a look at the textbooks if you have time and then prepare for week two before you to come to class. So we are looking forward to meeting you in person on January 22nd on Monday.
Okay, so that's it for me. I'd like to say bye. I'm looking forward to meeting all of you, and Jenna kind of already just said that. So we're going to wrap up here, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye. So now I've got to find the control to stop this.